Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. We have Alisha Marie. How's it going today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. It's a warm day here in Central Texas, and, you know, just kind of enjoying the weather.
Nice. I haven't been outside yet today, so I probably should
Yeah. I
eventually.
I literally made myself go get breakfast this morning because I knew I had this podcast and I was like, that'll be the reason I don't go anywhere today. So at least go run to Taco Bell and get yourself something to eat because at least you could say you've been outside at one point today.
Yeah. Is Taco Bell's breakfast any good?
I like it, but the thing is it's very hit or miss.
Okay.
If you've got somebody that knows how to like the basics of cooking,
Hmm.
the last time I went, it was like room temperature food, and it was just like that's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
Yeah. And it's like in the back of my head, I was like, I should have just went down the road to the Lupitas. It's a local Mexican restaurant that serves really good breakfast. I should have just went there. So
You can't never go wrong with local food, man. I'm
nope,
telling you.
not at all. Not at all. So how's everything going? You're just getting acquainted to Oklahoma City. So how's all that been treating you?
It's been going well. I think the second week I was out here, I did 5 open mics, like all back to back.
Nice.
And like back home from California, it was non-existent out there. Like I maybe
Mhm.
would go to one open mic a week and I had to drive like an hour to get there. And maybe two people were there. So it's been really cool. People have been super welcoming and friendly and like supportive. And I've like already created my own little family out here with friends and stuff. So it's been really nice.
Nice. And whereabouts in California are you from?
Um, it's the 209 area code. So like Stanislaus and San Joaquin Valley. Uh, I was born in a town called Modesto, raised in Oakdale,
Okay.
and I was kind of like all over the 209. So it was definitely an adventure. So
Fair.
I moved a lot as a kid.
Fair, fair. And so then you moved to Oklahoma, about 3 months ago,
Mhm.
and everything seems to be going good for you.
Oh yeah, it was kind of crazy too because um I applied to the job. I have really good friends that live out here, and
Mhm.
they knew I was having some issues in California because it's too damn expensive and all this other stuff. And they're like, "You should come out here. You'd really like it." And I'm like, I was gonna try and visit a bunch of times and never fell through. And then uh, one day I was like, I'm gonna apply to OU for a position that I've been kind of eyeing.
Mhm.
So I did, and they called me for an interview, and I was like, okay, I'll do the interview just for fun. Did the interview, and then they offered me the job. I was like, okay, yeah, great, but like, can you meet all my requests? And they're like, yeah, sure. And I was like, I called my mom. I was like, hey, I'm moving to Oklahoma, and she was like, okay,
Cool.
sick. And so she moved with me, and here we are.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It sounds like how I got out to actually it was more of equal to how I got out to Roswell, New Mexico.
Hmm.
I had there was a job that I was kind of eyeing, and I was like, I'm gonna apply for it. There's a whole backstory behind it, but I'll kind of cut that short. Oh, I was kind of eyeing this job out in Roswell, New Mexico, and everybody's like, "You're not gonna move out to Roswell. What's out there other than aliens?" And I'm like, "All right." And so I just did it to see if I'd get the job, and they called me. They're like, "Hey, we want you here in like 2 weeks. Like, here's what we're gonna give you. Here's everything." And they gave me like a moving expenses and all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to Roswell.
Heck yeah.
So
Sometimes those make up for the best stories.
yeah.
So because I
Oh,
I literally applied to OU just as like a joke. I was like, there's no way. And
yeah.
then, well, apparently there was a way. So
Right. So how's you mentioned, we were talking a little bit offline that you moved up, or you were kind of eyeing Oklahoma in general just because the music scene out
mhm.
there compared to where you were at in California. um let's kind of talk about that a little bit. What was the music scene like back home?
um, it's mainly and there I have no hate against any of the type of music that's out there because I love all music and I think
Mhm.
music is a form of self-expression and all that good stuff. But it was a lot of rap, more so like pop based stuff. Because I was 45 minutes south of Sacramento.
Mhm.
from the town that I was living in before I moved. And so a lot of the open mics out there were mainly for like rap artists and pop. Everyone was welcome, but
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like my niche was there. And so then I was paying attention to a lot of the new artists that were up and coming, like Josh Malloy, Wyatt Flores. I mean, Zach Bryan's not really up and coming anymore, but all those guys, and then previous artists from like the early 2000s and the
Mm.
90s, all of them are from Oklahoma, and not a lot of people realize that. Nashville for me is too saturated and too I don't know. I did not really my style, I guess you
Mhm.
could
Yeah.
say. And then Texas was a little bit more expensive.
Oh, it is. It really
Yeah,
is.
and that was also kind of saturated with a bunch of great musicians out there.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to come to Oklahoma because it's kind of starting to lay the foundation of a good, like, really solid music scene out here. And
Mhm.
so I was like, I might have a shot if I go there, and it would be kind of cool to be a part of that building and that foundation of a really huge music scene that's going to begin out here.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's really cool in Oklahoma to kind of find a place that supports independent music, especially like in the state of Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Tulsa. There's a few other like smaller cities that have a really good scene and an upcoming scene. But to kind of find that place to like build your foundation as a musician opens you up for the potential downline to be like, okay, in 3, 4, 5 years, I've really cut my teeth. I think I can hang in Nashville or I can hang in Texas, and I'm ready to make that jump. Because, like you said, it's very saturated, but it's saturated because a lot of musicians they come fresh out of college with a single or like not much of a background. They think, okay, well, I'm going to go to Nashville and I'm going to just jump right in.
Right.
So
Yeah,
with that,
that's a good thought process about it too.
yeah, and Oklahoma is centrally located. Like a lot of people don't really put two and two together, but like Oklahoma, you could, if you're willing to take a little bit of a drive, you could be pretty much anywhere you want to be within 8 hours of Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
Oklahoma City, I'm not 100% sure, but that math still seems to check out in my head. So,
Yeah, and in California you have to drive to
yep.
get really to a lot of different places. If I wanted to leave the state, I was driving a minimum of 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And for me, I was going to Texas like almost every other week. Because I go to Fort Worth for a singer-songwriter night at Magnolia Motor Lounge.
Hmm.
And which I love Fort Worth, by the way.
Hmm.
It makes me love Texas.
Yeah.
And then Memphis is only like 6 hours. And I
Hmm.
say Memphis because Arkansas is right next to me, but
Yeah.
Memphis is a huge deal for me because I'm a
Okay.
big Elvis person and
Yep.
blues,
Yep.
big
Yep.
blues girly. Yeah.
See, I honestly, because I have this conversation with myself every day of like, okay, I like where I'm at in Waco. So I live in Waco, Texas right now. I like where I'm at, but am I centrally located in a strong music scene? I'm centrally located in the fact that everybody that comes and tours Texas, everybody drives right through Waco. So like it's not a hard sell to be like, hey, stop for the afternoon, come through, let's do a podcast, let's do an acoustic thing, like whatever it is. It's not a hard sell, but the local scene, everybody's trying to get to Dallas, Nashville, or Austin. So it's like
Mhm.
it's the same issue we had in New Mexico where it's like everybody's trying to get somewhere else and the music scene kind of turns over pretty frequently.
Yeah.
So um but no, that's cool that you're in Oklahoma City and you're willing to make those drives. Like I think that's going to be the differentiator for you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm willing to drive as as far as I can.
Right.
Like music is everything to me. So, and I want nothing more to make a name for myself and not really even get famous. Like I just want to put my music out there for people to hear it. And I love performing live, and it's just so much fun. So, 5 hour drive is all little thing to worth it to me. So,
Right, right, right. So where are you kind of at creatively right now? I know I've seen like on Instagram and stuff that you're pretty consistently writing music, but
oh
where are
yeah.
you kind of at? Are you like trying to save up to get into studio or where are you kind of at?
Yeah. So actually I have a really awesome guy named Brian from Sounds Okay. And it's like a little music organization to kind of help music and musicians stay in Oklahoma
Hmm.
because everyone travels out.
Yeah.
And so his name is Brian, and I call him Uncle Brian because he's like my mentor. And he actually came over to my house, set up a whole recording set, and we recorded a song for. I wrote a song for my friend who has
Mm.
some cancer,
Mm.
and so she's struggling, and so I wrote a song for her, and so we recorded it, and we're hoping to get it released like hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
um but yeah, so mainly just trying to save up and get into the studio and actually finish writing the songs that I write, because I write something like every day. Like I always
Mm.
think of like a cool lyric here, a cool chorus there, and then I'll start writing it, and then I'll send like videos to my friends and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? And it's like a half written song and they're like, yeah, that sounds good. I'm like, all right. And then it sits in my vault for like 6 months, and then
Hey, that's fine though, because it gives the opportunity for the song to kind of mature and
Mhm.
figure out a because like the big test for me for a lot of projects, music, video, like whatever it is I'm working on, is if I let it sit for 6 months and I come back and I still like it after like not listening to it and coming into it with a fresh set of ears,
Mhm.
maybe there's something to it.
Yeah. And also too, sometimes I'll like write these songs and I'll have like really like dope one-liners in it. And then I'll start writing another song. And then like I kind of fit pieces to the puzzle.
Hmm.
And so sometimes I'll just like dissect older half-written songs and like put it to new songs and then create a whole song out of it. And
Nice.
so I'm not really mad about my process at all. Like, but sometimes it does get frustrating because I was like, man, I really wish I could just finish a song. But I do have like about like 12 to 13 originals under my belt that I just
Nice.
haven't gotten a chance to record, because I also like my upbeat songs I want a whole band behind, and I
Hmm.
it's just me and my guitar right now. So I'm
Fair.
trying to work on how to figure that out.
Very fair. Um, so what I guess I'll just ask this question. I know you've posted some of these up on Instagram. Are you also posting them up on TikTok as well, or is it just kind of Instagram for right now?
I'm trying to be as good as I can about TikTok,
Fair.
but I'm very active on my Instagram for sure.
Okay.
Um, but I'm trying to get branch out into TikTok and YouTube. I'm going real old school with the YouTube,
Yeah.
and
Hey, you know what though? YouTube, like if you can get to their like monetization point on YouTube, they
mhm.
actually pay pretty good. Like
Yeah, so I'm
it,
trying to get somewhere on all platforms for
yeah,
sure. Yeah, I YouTube was like the gold standard back when I was growing up.
yeah,
Like for all watching all those YouTube subscriptions and stuff like that. Like I would spend hours a day watching people on YouTube, and
yeah,
now it's TikTok or Instagram Reels.
yeah. Fair. Very fair. I guess I'm still kind of old school. I still watch way too much YouTube. Like I watch more YouTube than I do TV. Like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've been watching more YouTube as of late because I've been studying Sturgill Simpson
Uh,
and Elvis. Like I just watch like how Sturgill plays the guitar, and then I watch Elvis for his stage presence and like just how he performs. And like I said, I was raised on Elvis, so
mhm.
he's a huge part of my music influence. So
Nice. If you so little tip there, you remember the yodeling kid from
oh, Mason Ramsey.
yeah, Mason
Yeah.
Ramsey? Watch him nowadays. He's got a lot of Elvis in him. Like the way he kind of performs on stage.
Hmm.
Just watch him. He's got a lot of Elvis in him. It's very
Well,
interesting.
yeah, and so does Brandon Coleman from the Red
Yeah,
Clay Strays. Like he
yeah.
is, I mean, I know there's no one like him, like, and he sings it in a song, but you can definitely tell his influence like
Mm,
came from Elvis, and just the way that he moves is definitely the 50s version of Elvis. And then Mason, he kind of takes all eras of the
yeah,
Elvis. Like I
yeah,
saw he has like wearing these big belts and the
yeah,
scarves, and that's very much like 70s Elvis. And then the way
yep,
he sings and performs is 50s. So he takes it all in. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
yeah, for sure. So, kind of looking at where you currently sit, you're 3 months in, 3 months into your tenure at Oklahoma or in Oklahoma. How's the shows been going? Are you playing? pretty consistently, or is it a lot of like writers rounds and stuff like that?
I do a lot of like open mics and writers
Hmm.
rounds right now. I'm trying to build more of a solid set list because right now
Hmm.
I'm sitting at like an hour and a half of a set list.
Okay.
Most places want a 3 hour set.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop me from getting gigs. So I performed at a few little local bars here. I actually have a show next week at a place called White Rabbit in OKC.
Okay.
I'm gonna be doing like a 30-45 minute set because I'm opening for two other artists. So
Mm.
I still am able to get gigs. And then I'm also actually heading down to Fort Worth and at the end of October for a song swap gig in at the Basement Bar in
Okay.
the Stockyards. Yeah.
We'll have to connect on that one because I'll be up in one of the musicians that I started working with this year. He's got a gig up at Magnolia Motor Lounge at the end of October. So if we cross paths in DFW, we'll have to try and connect on that one.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So, no, that's really cool. I'm glad you're building out your set list. What's that entire process been like? Obviously, trying to find the mix of original music, cover songs, just kind of what's kind of the process been like for you trying to build out a set list to get more gigs instead of like, yeah.
Right. Um, I just kind of find songs that I really like to listen to, and
Hmm.
then I look them up on guitar tabs, and then I learn the chords and I start strumming because I don't follow a strumming pattern. I usually try and play it by ear,
Hmm.
um, which has worked for me, I think, for the most part. And so yeah, I just try and learn songs that I like, and then I practice them and build it, and kind of that's just pretty much it. And
Yeah.
I write a lot of slower, kind of like not a lot. I have a good healthy mix, but most of the songs I do write are fairly depressing because I do talk about a lot of mental health struggles and things
Hmm.
like that in my music because that's what I've used music for. So I try and learn a lot of more upbeat songs to kind of balance out. And also too, I feel like nowadays everyone's singing slow songs. Like,
Hmm.
so I'm trying to really make myself stand out and like have a set that's mainly built around like upbeat, like, oh
Yeah.
hey, this is fun.
Yeah, for sure. I made that exact same comment not long ago. I was on a buddy's podcast and he was asking me about how I feel about a lot of the new independent country music coming out. And I was like, honestly, there's like this weird mix of like this upbeat party music, which is cool and fun to listen to. But then you also have a lot of musicians that are doing like this 90s throwback. Like if you're going to the country bar on a Wednesday night, this is the type of music that they'd be playing, just like that almost atmospheric music. But,
Hmm.
you know, and it's kind of weird, kind of like you said, it's a little bit more slower paced and down. And it's kind of a weird thing going on. But,
Yeah,
you
my
know,
dad, he's a big proponent of my music. He's where I get my talent from.
hmm.
Because he was touching back on the Elvis thing. He was an Elvis tribute artist since like
Well,
the 70s, like since he was 17. And up till now, like he still does it. And so he'll always tell me anytime I play slow songs, he always pretends like he goes to sleep. He's like, he's like, what's up with everyone doing slow songs? He's like, you got to get some upbeat stuff in there. So anytime I play a slow song at a gig, my dad's voice comes into my head and I'm like, oh, we got to switch it up. We got to get upbeat. And so that's why I try and focus really writing and performing upbeat songs is because I mean, everyone does slow songs,
yeah.
and so I'm just trying to make my stamp out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely understood.
Yeah.
So, you're in the process of getting a song out there hopefully by the end of the year. Is that kind of the shoot, or is it just kind of
Oh,
wait and
yeah.
see? Okay.
Well, I actually just got the text from Brian this morning. He's like, "Hey, I'm working on your song today," and then so
Mm.
he's mixing it, and then we're gonna hopefully have his friend master it, and then I'm hoping by like the end of next month that we could have it
Okay.
released.
Nice.
Um, and as far as like any EP or possible albums and stuff, probably end of next year, I would
Okay.
say. But
Nice.
if I can bust it out sooner than that, then I will because I just want to get my music out there
Yeah.
and not just even like not just so I can get like big and famous, but like I just want to get my music out there. So if people like what they hear at my open mics or at my shows and stuff, they
Mm.
have something. I call it a to go box.
Yeah.
Like because you can have a great buffet for a gig, and
Hmm.
then people are like, oh hey, like do you have any to go boxes, because I'd love to take some home to show my friends and family like what you made.
Yeah,
And then I'm like, no, sorry.
fair.
And it kind of sucks, but
Yeah, and you bring up kind of an interesting point because, you know, I have this conversation all the time with musicians on and off the podcast about release strategies and what's the best way to kind of get your music out there. And, obviously it depends, varying financial situations. It depends on what your goals are as a musician. Like if you're more focused on recordings and that's all you do, you don't really worry about live stuff. Singles is kind of the way to go. Singles and radio play, that's kind of where you want to be. But if you're out performing consistently every weekend in different areas, like if you're playing OKC and then Tulsa and then you're kind of going around, maybe an EP and LP is a little bit more viable because you're playing in front of a different crowd every weekend and you have
Mhm.
something physical to kind of be like, hey, this right here, pay me,
Yeah.
that thing. And then you could also still kind of play Spotify, but um, just not putting everything out all at once, just kind of really push the hard physical copy, but then just like release everything as kind of singles on Spotify because that's what Spotify rewards. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I know, and I'm such a, I don't want to call myself a rebel by any means, but like I'm a, and it's probably gonna hurt me in the long run, but like I also like don't care.
yeah.
Is that once I get a song, like I've, because I tried the whole promotion thing, and I'm not big enough to be like promoting things. I got like 400 or something followers on Instagram, right? Like
Hmm.
I'm just gonna start dropping stuff. Like whenever I get music,
Hmm.
like I'm just gonna, here's a song. There you
Yeah.
go. Happy Christmas. Like, and just kind of hope for the best. Hopefully people like it.
Yeah, for sure. Because I was having so my day job, I do like marketing and promotions and stuff like that. So that's kind of where my sweet spot is in life. And I was talking to my boss, and she was talking about this thing that 7-Eleven had been promoting, and she fell victim to like buying this food item. And she's like, yeah, the marketing was just so good. I had to try it, but it tastes like garbage. And I'm like, at the end of the day, you know this and I know this, is if your product isn't any good, it doesn't matter how well you market it. So at the end of the day, your music's going to speak for itself. Like that's kind of
Yep,
the point that a lot
exactly.
of a lot of musicians, and kind of hearing what I've heard. Now, obviously it's all through the phone on like Instagram and stuff, but everything I've heard, man, it's incredible. So I'm excited to see what a fully produced and recorded sound sounds like.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny because like I'll listen to video playbacks of like when I record myself and I'm like, okay, this song's pretty good. And then I'll post it. But then like I'll do the same song and the same
Mm.
exact thing in the studio, hear myself back on that. I'm like, I hate it. That sounds awful. And so I don't know what it is, but
Maybe it's more of a live aspect. Like maybe you need to try and focus on more live stuff and like
yeah,
live recordings and whatnot.
I
Like
think
that,
so.
yeah. Because like I mean, there's musicians that's what that like. There's musicians that you want to hear live, but maybe not necessarily want to hear recorded. Maybe give that a try and see if like just doing like live recordings or something is a difference maker.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed a lot of people do like a live at whatever
Yeah.
album. Like a few artists around here, there's a place called Grady 66 Pub.
Hmm.
And some people will do like live at Grady's EP, from their set that they performed at their show there. And then of course, like all the live at Billy Bob's albums
Hmm.
too. That's a thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a huge, big way on my live sound. I like
Yeah.
my live sound a lot.
Yeah.
So
That's how we got our start, was doing live acoustic recordings, and I want to bring it back, but right now 90% of the time it's just me, and it's like it's not as fun with just me you know
yeah.
it's but it's something that I'm definitely looking at bringing back, just because you're seeing a lot of these other places, like, and they're all, a lot of them are venues, which that tracks,
Hmm.
like live at Billy Bob's, it rings. But I'm definitely looking at bringing it back and just kind of trying to
Yeah.
like jump back into that. So
Well, if you ever do, just let me know. I'll drive my happy little self down to Waco and we'll get it done.
what is see what is it to Fort Worth from Oklahoma City? Is it
About 3 hours flat.
3 hours? Okay, then it'd probably be about 4.5 to Waco, depending
Yeah.
on where in the city you're going. And plus, if you're not getting off 35 or yeah, 35, it's probably a little bit quicker. So
Yeah. And with the way I drive, it'll probably be a lot quicker.
now is that
I try and be careful though, because I heard them Texas stadiums don't show no mercy. So
um honestly, I've seen some people drive like complete jackasses and the right in front of state cops and they don't do anything. And it's
okay.
like, but take that for what it's worth. Like
Yeah.
if you come in with an Oklahoma plate, they might feel a different way. There might be a little
Especially
uh
I have a Sooners plate too. So if there's a stadium that's a Longhorns fan, then they're probably just gonna pull me over for principal.
very fair. Um so the driving, is that a California thing that's kind of peeking through, or has that come in recently since moving to Oklahoma?
Oh no, that's California through and through.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that no disrespect to my Oklahomans, but y'all can't drive. Like and they have a hard time merging. They don't know what that is. They don't know about the zipper. I mean, in all fairness, a lot of Californians don't know what it is either. But they're just a bunch of a-holes. So they usually just don't merge because they don't want to let you merge because they think that one car length is going to get them to their destination quicker in 3 hours
Yep.
of traffic.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, that's Texas as well. Nobody in Texas knows how to drive. So,
yeah. I just think everyone of like that's outside of your vehicle doesn't know how to drive.
yep,
I
yep,
think
yep.
everyone thinks that. So,
Oh yeah. It like you like I go back home and I'm like, nobody here knows how to drive. What the hell is going? It's like this is where I learned how to drive, and
right.
nobody here knows how to drive.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's a whole
funny.
yeah. Um. So outside of music, what do you like to get into? Decompress, all that fun stuff.
Um, well, I work in the medical field, right? So that
Mhm.
in itself is stressful. So usually music is my go-to. But uh as far as like decompressing and things like that, I'm a woman of faith. And so I find a lot of comfort and stuff in, practicing that. And but I like to drink and I do I do dabble in some electric lettuce, if you will.
Yep.
Um,
Gotcha.
so, uh, yeah, a little country cabbage for me. And I just chill, man. I read, I watch TV, I hang out with my dog. I have a, he's behind me. You can't really see him, probably hear him, but he's a
I
German Shepherd.
I see his head move every once in a while. Like I think it's your mom or something, and then I realize, oh no, she's got a dog sitting right behind her. So
Yeah, he's a 115-pound German Shepherd, and he's a very good boy.
yeah.
Um, and then I hang out a lot with my friends. I love to support other local musicians. So, like,
Hmm.
matter of fact, tonight I'm going out to see a girl, Tori Ray, out here,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go support her. And yeah, like literally my whole life outside of work and stuff is music and friends and family.
Nice.
Yeah,
Who are you listening to right now that's like really got your ear perked up?
mm, that's hard. I have like I go through these cycles, and I'll just like listen to the same artist over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
But I love Della Rose,
Okay.
Tanner Usry. I've been dabbling a lot in like older music too, like
Mhm.
CCR, both like Cross Canadian Ragweed and Creedence Clearwater Revival,
I was gonna say
Elvis, like
which CCR are we talking about?
yeah. And I love Wyatt Flores, Billy Strings. He just released some new
Yeah.
music, and like I just love music, and I'm
Yeah.
all over the place with it. So
Yeah. Billy, I mentioned this on the podcast last night. Billy Strings is by far one of the most frequent influences that has been coming up over the last few months. And it's really cool to see bluegrass kind of getting that light shined on it. So
it's unreal the talent and the dedication it takes to play like Billy does. Because I
yeah.
just literally last night I just started trying to learn Dust in a Baggie,
Yeah.
and the intro to that is just a whirlwind in itself.
Yeah.
So, and I've only been playing guitar. I've only been doing this whole writing music thing for about like a year and some change.
Hmm.
So I'm still learning a lot. But yeah, Billy Strings, man, that man is a monster on the guitar.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you're still relatively new in music in general.
Mhm.
What was kind of the turning point for you that you were like, this is something that I want to be doing, need to be doing, should be doing, like however you want to approach it?
So it's crazy because, all right, so I'm gonna give you a short backstory here.
Okay.
So I'm a lover girl, but I'm a lover girl that's stupid, and I get my heart broken a lot, right? So I was listening to a lot of Zach Bryan and Tyler Childers, and then I have Apple Music, so like sometimes when you listen to a song, it'll branch out,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's when I found the song "Beautiful Lies" by Tanner Esri. And as soon as I heard that song, I had that on repeat. And then I explored his EP, and he hadn't had his album yet or any other singles out. And so then he started releasing more stuff. And then I was like, I got to see this guy in concert. Like, I even went as far
Yeah.
as messaging him on Instagram. I was like, yo, can you come to California, please? Like, I'm begging you. And then he came to California, and I went to like 3 or 4 shows. I've seen him 7 times live in the past year.
Oh wow.
And so I even have the date remembered because it was June 11th. We played in Petaluma. And then the next day, I picked up my guitar and I just never put it down because
Nice.
yeah, just like his music was like a real turning point, and seeing him live and like how much fun they have up there on stage and just how much fun concerts are in general. Like, um, yeah, it was a huge turning point. And actually a lot of my writing style is because of the way that he plays. And I love the way that he storytells and writes in his songs. Like his song Josephine like hits home for
Mm-hmm.
me because my mom used to be an addict. And so it's just like a lot, like I said, a lot of this stuff hits home. And um you can definitely tell my writing style where I get some of my influence from him.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Now, were you trying to become, or were you dabbling in music before this, like as you were growing up and whatnot, or
Oh
was
yeah.
okay?
Yeah. So I did like a few piano lessons, but I've
Mhm.
never stayed with it. So like I did piano lessons for like maybe 6 months when I was a kid, and then vocal lessons, the same thing, 6 months, like when I was 11 and 12.
Mhm.
In high school, I would like sing karaoke or whatever. And then a little after high school, like it was always back and forth. My mom had been telling me for years and years, she's like, you need to do something with your voice. Like,
Mm.
and I was like, nah. Psh. And then that one day, man, I picked up my guitar. I wrote a whole song on June
Mhm.
12th, 2023. I wrote a whole song. I don't even remember what it was anymore, but and I just never put my guitar down since. So
Fair. And then you ended up moving to Oklahoma 3 months ago, and
yeah, changing my
you're in
whole
it,
life. Yeah.
right?
It's
Hey,
crazy.
you're here. You're doing it. So like that's enough for me. Like you're doing what you love and you're representing yourself very authentically. Like this conversation, it's been really smooth and all that fun stuff. So I'm like really excited to see where things go over the next 3 months, which is weird in 3 months. Like it'll be almost 2025, but
Jeez.
I, that's just a whole different scenario, topic of conversation to be having. But like to see where you are at the end of the year and then moving into 2025, and yeah, I'm really excited to kind of see where everything goes for you.
Thanks, man. I am too. And I'm tell people I'm trying to take this to the moon. So
Hmm.
um and a cool story if we got time, it's
Yeah,
super
yeah,
short. I was in a songwriting competition at the Magnolia Motor Lounge, right?
hmm,
And I did really great my first round, got into the finals. Second round, I brought 2 new songs, one that I had just written. Terrible mistake. Every
yeah,
musician has their night, and that night was not my night. I did not place, and that's totally fine. And
yeah.
I take losses on the chin. It is what it is, and it gives me more room to grow.
Hmm.
So that's all I take it as. But one of the songs I did take is I call it off the shelf, and so it's a
Hmm.
touching on men's mental health because that's something that's not near enough talked about or sang about, in my opinion. And so I had a few people come up to me and say how much that song meant to them
Hmm.
and how much they related to it and how much it touched them like in their hearts. And that to me, like, this is gonna sound cheesy, but that's a win in itself.
Yeah,
Like the fact that my music is doing that for people. And that's what is most important to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
That finding that connection is the key that a lot of musicians miss. So,
mhm.
and that's really cool. So kind of moving forward, what's kind of the plan for the rest of the year? Obviously, getting that single out as quickly as possible, but are you are you playing more songwriter showcases or anything like that? What's kind of your show situation looking like for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year, I'm just gonna try and book gigs wherever and whenever I can. Obviously in respect to my into my time, money, and
Hmm.
stuff. Obviously, I'm not just out here doing shows for $2, but
Yeah.
um, I'm trying to definitely set up like a set rate and like get everything really organized.
Hmm.
Trying to get some shows. Definitely, I just do whatever I can.
Yeah.
Like that's like a pretty much. I try and be as organized as possible, but I just be doing things.
Yeah. For sure. It's definitely smart to try and treat it like a business, but being so young and fresh in the game, sometimes taking those chances is
Mhm.
where that planning comes into play later down the line. So,
Yes, and that's there's some venues that just really don't respect your time
yeah.
and effort and stuff, and so that's mainly like I don't want to sound like any sort of type of way, but yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely take those chances for sure. And what I guess what you're talking about,
Yeah.
I'll definitely put myself out there just to
Yeah.
be able to play my music for people. Um, but if I'm doing it as like a job or like for a
Yeah.
good set, like I try and treat it as a job. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where there are definitely those venues that think because you're an independent artist, you should be playing for free because they're giving you the exposure. When in reality, it's like, no, I'm providing a service because you're going to ask me to go play 3, 4 hours at a bar where nobody's paying attention to me. I'm just setting a mood.
Hmm.
And so that exposure that you're talking about isn't there because they're not coming to see me play.
Right.
They're coming to eat your food, and I'm just there to provide a little bit of entertainment.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm no stranger to playing to empty walls either. Like
yeah.
I sometimes I love it because I saw a picture of Tyler Childers and he was playing in a cafe and not a single person was listening. Like
Mm.
just from the picture you can see like everyone's focused on their own thing.
Yep.
And so that picture always comes into my head whenever I'm playing to an empty room. And it's just practice. That's all it is.
Yep.
And sometimes I get the attention of one person and that's what matters to me. And that's all. I'm good with it.
Right. That one person, you catch that one person's attention, they go tell their friend, and next time you're in town, it's like now you got two people, so
Yeah,
it's a grind, but it's worth it at the end of the day. So,
absolutely. And yeah,
yeah,
music is everything to me, man. So I'll play pretty much anywhere for
fair.
anything. So
Very fair.
yeah.
Um, so I don't want to keep you here too much longer. If anybody wants to check out your social media, any upcoming shows, any music that's coming out, where's the best place to find you?
Best place to find me is on Instagram at A_Marie Music. All under besides the underscore, it's all one
Mm,
word. And it's the on TikTok, it's Alisha Marie Music. Same thing with YouTube, Alisha Marie Music. And then the song that I'm going to be releasing, hopefully by the end of next month, is called Megan's Song, and that'll be should be on all platforms under Alisha Marie. So,
perfect. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. One thing I want to do here really quick before we wrap this up, though. What's a piece of advice you have for the young musicians out there?
oh, that's a hard one. Stay consistent and don't give a damn what anybody thinks about what you're writing because you're writing it for you.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. I agree. But Alisha, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll catch you all later.